What's up everyone, my name is Max and today we'll be taking a look at the 76057, the Spider-Man Web Warriors Ultimate Bridge Battle. Thor Love and Thunder just released and I wanted to do something Marvel related. I don't have any of the new Love and Thunder sets yet, and let's be real here, you've seen about 1,000 reviews for either of them, and I also just really wanted to review this set. This is one of my favorite LEGO sets overall and is most definitely in the top 5 Marvel sets of all time. Next week I'll hope to do another interview, but we'll see if that works out. Now though, I'll stop stalling, remember to hit the like and subscribe button, and please excuse my poor English, I'm no native speaker. So let's just jump right in with this set's basic information. It released in summer of 2016, so more than 6 years ago by now. Since it was released in 2016, it was also part of the classic red Marvel box art line they used up until 2017. The original retail price of this one was $100, £100 or €100. If you were to adjust that for inflation, $100 in 2016 would now be around $122. That's an increase of about 22%. It had a total piece count of 1,092 pieces, including 7 minifigures, with 5 of them being exclusive to the set. 1,092 pieces together with a retail price of $100 puts us at about 9 cents per piece in 2016 and 11 cents in 2022. It was designed by Justin Ramsden, who also did sets like the UCS Hogwarts Castle, the new Sanctum Sanctorum, and just a bunch of other awesome sets. Personally, he's one of my favorite designers. And with that wrapping up all the basic information, let's move on to this set's minifigures.
Yes, your friend. He's going to help us destroy you and your team.
Talk about being in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Did someone ask for a light?
Let's start with the main guy himself, Spider-Man. This is the version they used from 2012 to 2019 that is based off the Ultimate Spider-Man animated series, and honestly, this is quite a bland figure. It uses plain blue legs. I don't know why they didn't use dual molded legs like they did a year prior for the Rhino and Sandman supervillain team up. The torso is quite nice with the 2 print layers showing his abs and the pattern above them. One thing that does bother me though is that the red on his torso, of which we also have some of the back, doesn't match his head or hands. This is just because it's printed on the blue torso and they often have the problem of the printed color not matching the molded one. The head is fine, nothing special, just 2 very big lenses and some patterns continuing on the back of the head as well.
Come on.
Shame on you.
The second figure we'll look at today is Aunt May. This version of her is not based off the Ultimate Spider-Man show. I don't know why they just made some random version, but whatever. The legs are plain again and the torso might not be the optimal one, but it certainly isn't bad. We've got some nice detail on there, like the grey belt wrapping around the back or the actually quite nice scarf. The face was specifically made for this figure, and 3 of the 4 times this face has been used was for other Aunt Mays. I think it depicts the old May style quite well, and the alternative face is also really good and makes even more sense when we look at the actual build later. The hair is nice as well, but sadly the back doesn't cover the alternative face completely, so it does look a little off, but it's definitely nothing too major. The next figure for today is SpiderGirl. She's based off her Jessica Drew comic version, and I'm kinda sad that this is one of the only 2 variants we ever got of her. The other one is her venomized version from that 2019 Doc Ock set. She, as every other figure so far, uses plain red legs. The torso is really nice again, using the darker parts on each side to make the figure look thinner, and she also has multiple print layers to give some more definition under her venom-like white logo on her chest. The printing continues on the back as well, even though here it's mostly covered up by her hair. I think the hairpiece and color work really well for Jessica Drew, and the head she uses with the very big lenses matches her in-universe costume. Overall a nice figure and one of the Spidey variants we don't see that often anymore nowadays.
I was trying to stop one of the Kingpin's crimes. He had created some kind of interdimensional transporter which would make him invincible as a criminal. No sooner had I arrived when my other showed up. I thought he was there to help me, but he wasn't. He wanted me out of the picture permanently.
The last good guy figure we'll look at today is Ben Reilly's Scarlet Spider. This is one of the coolest Spider-Man variants we've ever gotten to date, even though he uses plain legs again. Although in all fairness, there isn't really a lot you can print on there. The torso though is great, although I would have liked for them to use a light blue instead of the normal one, but this still looks really good. His belt continues around the back, the Spider-Man logo on the front is a nice touch, and all the extra wrinkles and whatnot really give it this hoodie aesthetic. Of course, a big part in this also plays his hood with a bit of red printing in front here, which looks kinda odd since there's some more blue above it, but nothing to worry about really. The head is the exact same one as on Spider-Girl, but unlike most Spidey figures, he's got some arm printing. Yes, as you can see, he's rocking his silver wristbands, and honestly, this figure really profits from that because he is, as mentioned, one of the only Spider-Man variants to have it.
We could just stop now, you know. I won't tell anybody.
Do you know what Octavius will do if he finds out you failed? I failed? Yes, you freak show!
The next figure we'll look at today is Scorpion. This version is based off his admittedly kinda blunt classic comic look. The last time we've seen this figure was in 2018, and I honestly hope we see these kind of villains more often again and not just more Venoms. The legs are monotone again, and the torso kinda reminds me of Sandman's one with the stripes over the green base. Under these stripes you can see some of the abs and muscles. I really like these two-layered prints they used for a lot of figures here. The face looks really nice with some stripes on the back of the head as well. For a stinger he uses a specifically made mold that works like a backpack. I'm a bit sad that you can't move the stinger. Maybe a brick build one would have worked better, but if you're just displaying the figure, it works fine.
Introducing Kraven the Hunter, Dr. Octopus's newest recruit.
With this, I'll be first member of New Sinister 6. Kraven the Hunter does not only set traps, he is a trap.
And our penultimate figure for today will be Kraven. This is the only time we've ever seen Kraven in Lego form, and I'm quite interested whether the figure will spike in price when the new Kraven movie releases next year. Anyways, this figure actually has printing on the legs. As you can see, the leopard print continues on the hip as well. The torso is extremely detailed. Down here you have a zebra belt covering some of his skin. Sadly, the color of the skin or the torso doesn't match his head or arms. As mentioned, this is a common problem. Above the abs you can spot his jacket and teeth necklace, which is almost completely covered by this fur piece. This piece has mostly been used for bird nests, but it works really nice here as well. On the back you'll be able to spot some more printing. The face, well, I don't really like the face. The face was introduced 1 year prior for Vincent D'Onofrio, and it really doesn't fit Kraven. The hair's okay. I think if you wanted to improve this figure, just switch out the head and hair for the new Doctor Strange one. They look so much better.
Get off me, you meddling insect!
Listen up, Osborn. I know it's you under that mask, so let's touch down and talk this over. Spider to Goblin.
Norman Osborn's gone, you fool! You're dealing with the Green Goblin now! I play for keeps.
The last figure we'll look at today is the Green Goblin. Ignoring the fact that this is the best figure of the set, this is like one of the best Marvel figures ever. Unlike every other Green Goblin variant, this guy uses pink as his cloth color, and it works really well in combination with the very strong green. When looking at the legs you can see that they're dual molded, which works quite nicely for him, and even above the boots you have some more printing showing the scales on his armor. The torso on its own is very bland, but at least the printed green matches the molded parts. The reason you don't really notice the boringness of the torso is because of the bag he's carrying. It's made of a dark purple, which brings some more color into the figure. The head looks good and shows the madness of the Green Goblin quite well, and so does the second face, and the dual molded head earpiece looks really good as well. And something we have on this figure as well is arm printing. It looks nice on this figure and makes it something special in comparison to most Marvel minifigs. Now though, let's move away from the figures and onto the actual build. And here we have the build, or rather the builds. Of course, the bridge is the biggest focus of the set, but we'll start with the side builds and keep the main course for the end. So here we have the first batch of the side builds. For one, we have this trash bin and these two fires. They're really just here to add some more detail, even though I have no idea where the fuck you'd need a trash bin on a highway. The quad itself is kinda bad, especially considering that there's no police officer or anything in that vein included, and honestly, I have no idea why it's included here. Then we also have this taxi. It makes sense that they included this one here just to fill up the street. The stickering gives it more detail, but it has two major flaws as well, that being the lack of a cab driver, and what purpose does a taxi serve when there's only one spot for a minifig? This is a problem they always have with taxis and somehow only barely fixed with the D2C Daily Bugle. And the last side build is Green Goblin's glider. I like this version because it includes the little blades on front, but it's also quite big and colorful. Of course, the statues are a little off-throwing, but if they're really annoying you too much, you can simply take them off. Overall, almost all of these builds complement the main one nicely, and that's also what we're going to be looking at next. We'll start at the bottom of the bridge for now. It's held up by these two pillars, and we're going to look at the right one first. You can immediately spot the ladder leading down to it, and it's kind of hard to get a good look in there, but if I lift the ladder up, you'll be able to spot a trans blue screen as well as a place to put Kraven's weapons, since this is his little hideout. If we want to get a better look at the back of the room, we can flip the whole set around and take out this wall piece here. As you can see, there's just another chest containing a few crystal pieces. The other pillar is locked by these two web pieces. If we fold down this one, you can spot Peter's camera on the second one. It's important that you can fold down the one in front, so you can take out the figure being dropped in here by a play feature on top of the bridge, to which we will get to in a minute. Now, on the street itself, there's a bunch of detailing to make it not look bland. You can see some of the stickers as well as this studded part here in the middle. In front, we have this sign that can be broken by simply pushing the middle, and on the side, there's this little catapult on which you can place a figure and fire off. Under all that, there's just some more detailing to make it look like the bridge actually got destroyed and wasn't just cleanly sliced through. The starter part in the middle here does look a little off, but this is the previously mentioned play feature linked to the pillar below it, because what you can do now is put a figure on there loosely, pull this little tan handle, and this activates a trapdoor in the middle here, dropping the figure down into the pillar. It's honestly just a really nice play feature, giving the illusion of the bridge breaking even further, or Spidey setting up a trap for some villains. The sides are blocked by these barriers, but right here you can actually pull out this part of the barrier to reveal another web below it. This is so you can pretend that the cab had an accident, crashed into the barrier, and is now only held up by this web. That's also why there's these skid marks on the street right here. Moving further up the bridge, we arrive at the pylon, consisting of these two pillars and the top. On this side of the pylon there's this web with some brick build detail below it. What you can do now is twist this grey handle on the back side of the pillar, which makes the wall explode into two pieces and leaves a hole. The exact same mechanism exists on the other side as well, where we also have this ledge above it on which you can put a minifigure and push it off by pushing this red pin behind it. Of course, it makes the most sense to put one of the Spideys on there and have them swing off it with their webs, but you can put whatever figures you want on there, honestly. It also reminds me of the Sanctum Sanctorum Showdown, which had almost the exact same feature. On top of the pylon you can spot a little bird's nest with some eggs, as well as a green goblin flag. Why would there be a green goblin flag here? I don't know myself, but there is a play feature to it at least, because what happens when you push this flag down is that a white net falls from the top onto the street, potentially trapping one of the figures, for example. It's a very nice feature for children that still play with their sets, as well as it wrapping up the review for me to move on to the final verdict. So, I don't think I can make a big mystery of my opinion on the set. I really like it. As mentioned, I think it's a top 5 LEGO Marvel set, and it's one of those very few sets perfectly mastering the balance between good play and display set. It also gives you the opportunity of combining two of these sets into a full bridge, which is something quite unique, but even alone it works great. You get some fantastic minifigs, and this is also the only set you can get a real pumpkin bomb in. Of course, something to keep in mind is that if you want to get this set nowadays, it won't cost you $100. The cheapest sealed one you can currently find on Bricklink is $180, but some prices reach up to $540. Still though, if you have the opportunity to get this set for around $200, I'd say go for it. It's one of the best LEGO sets in the last decade, and that's why I'm giving it a 9.5 out of 10 with a buying recommendation. So that wraps up today's review. I hope you enjoyed it, even though my English was a little worse today. If you want to see more of me, check out my shorts channel, and until next week, goodbye.